Hey guys, what's with the color? Jeez, looks like I'm in like a freaking old film or something. Anyway, what's up guys? This is a response, and as well as a kind of dialogue opener, I guess, with Divinity 33372. I'll just say Divinity because it's easier. Yeah, it's on to your video about sex and entitlement, which I really liked, because I liked how you were trying to show both sides of the issue as well as kind of show the fallacy of a certain type of thinking. I'm not really countering anything that you said. Rather, I would like to add to it, I guess, and kind of give a different perspective, I guess. And if you and anyone else watching this, of course, have any insights that they want to add, civilly, of course, for the other people, then yeah, feel free. But yeah, I just had to touch on it. First off, on the whole entitlement thing, I have heard that so many times before about how this whole industry is based on males' entitlement to female sexuality, which, yeah, as you've demonstrated, is mostly bullshit. However, I would like to add one thing that I personally believe, and if you think it's bullshit and you can point out how it's bullshit, then definitely enlighten me. But I will say that while saying that there is this ultimate view of male entitlement over female sexuality, which in actual practice is not true, the sense that that sexuality can be controlled or kept in a bottle in some way is there. It's not something that I think men consciously know, and, you know, as, you know, in a whole, you know, it's something that they are purposely doing, but it's there. Now, I also have to amend that by saying that it's not exactly by their design either. In fact, I think it would be a hell of a lot better, it's not coming to me, I think it would be a hell of a lot better if I just simply throw out the whole female and male angle altogether, in terms of this whole idea of sexual entitlement or sexual control. One of the reasons, I'm guessing, why you object to this view of, you know, people trying, this whole view of how the sexual industry is very, very negative for women and all that, is because you yourself have worked in that industry and you see what's really going on with it. You basically, and I'm also thinking it comes straight from a desire to not have anyone, either male or female, try to tell you or try to tell other women what they can do with their sexuality or how they're supposed to portray their sexuality, how they can use it. I'm assuming that, you know, that's not exactly the sort of control that you wish anyone to have over anyone else, and that they should be able to decide what to do with their body or their sexuality or their, you know, their path as they see fit. This is something that I feel is beyond a gender sort of thing, in the sense that feminists, when they talk about this, the more quote-unquote militant ones will try to blame this on males or male-dominated society. Same way that men who are lashing back at some of those ideas will declare that a lot of this is coming from feminists, say that it's their fault that, you know, all this crap is going on. And it's not really the fault of either group. It is, but it isn't. What I'm trying to say basically is that it's the culture and it's the society itself that has reinforced this. And all human beings have done when encountering this sort of bullshit is adapt to it for their own ends, because that's what humans do. Everything I'm about to say, whether it's correct or not, is coming from an understanding that human beings are a very adaptive species. No matter how many brick walls you put in front of us, we're going to find a way to get around it, we're going to find a way to circumvent it. It's because that's what we do as a tool-making species. That's something I really need to do another video about the essence of what we do is based on the fact that we make tools. Just about Just about everything that we do is based on us making tools, and everything we use is a tool. Even the words coming out of my mouth, the language itself is a tool, but that's a video for another time. We are an adaptive species. We always find a way to do whatever it takes to get what we want when we want it, especially when what we want is our most basic desires. When it comes down to food, shelter, safety, in a civilized society, I hate doing this, but in a civilized society, there are certain rules that need to be followed in order to be a civilized human being. But when the chips are down and you are forced to do whatever it takes for your very basic survival, unless you have really done a good job of encoding certain morals in your head, you're going to do whatever the fuck it takes. You take the most morally upstanding person you can think of, get them stuck in a mountain somewhere, plane crash there with other people, they're running out of food. They are going to start thinking about chowing down on Bob. It's been done. It's happened before. Morals go out the window when it comes down to survival. Now, sex, while it's more of a survival thing in terms of propagating the species, not necessarily an individual's survival, is still a very powerful, basic urge we have. It's an itch that just needs to be scratched. Just, you know, unless you've really done a very good job of mellowing yourself out or zenning out, you're going to want to scratch that itch, whether you are male or female. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what's between your legs. You want sex. Unless they've done a good job, the society's done a good job of making you not want it, whether you're a woman who has been forced to accept a certain point of view, that you're supposed to be chaste and, you know, not desire the pleasures of the flesh, you're going to want to scratch that itch. Same thing with a guy. We already know that guys want to scratch that itch, but here's the problem. Our culture has basically dictated that women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the ones chasing after it. That's the culture we live in. Now, whether you are a feminist or whether you are an MAR guy, or MRA guy, whatever, those idiots. Whether you are an MRA guy or whether you are a feminist, you both believe that shit. That men chase after sex and women are the gatekeepers of it. This is bullshit in the extent that both genders want sex as a whole. I know in an individualistic level there's all these different degrees, but for as a whole, we're speaking in generalities now, they both want sex. And both, as adaptive species, will use whatever it takes within the confines of the environment and the context, the cultural context that they live in order to get it. Now, in a society that believes that men have to chase after sex, the culture is going to set up certain avenues so that the men get it. And of course, if you're going to start going with this whole alpha male shit or power male shit, the way that men have seen to get what they desire is to be someone of status. Celebrities, sports stars, top-notch gangsters, rich guys around town, playboys, fame, fortune, anything that basically boosts up their status is going to help them to get that sex. This goes along with what you said, Divinity, about how, you know, in strip clubs, these local town celebrities will walk in and like, we don't pay for lap dances. Because they believe that there's a certain status that they have. I can get whatever the fuck I want. I've reached this level now where I can just take it, that sense of entitlement. That's their way of adapting to the culture that says that this is what you do to get it. Politicians are a good example. How many times do we have to keep hearing about some sex bust here or this infidelity there or whatever? I am going to, you know, suggest that this is a lot more rampant than we're led to believe. And that the only reason why it's such a big deal is because these motherfuckers get caught. I am pretty fucking sure that there's a lot more of these guys out there running around, picking up women, you know, and you know, having private sex parties or whatever the fuck they're doing in Washington, because they're guys of power and status. And if you look throughout history, that's what people in power do. They take what they want. These guys happen to, you know, they got their flights paid for, their meals paid for. Now they're getting stock options and shit because they're willing to sell their souls to corporations. They got lots of money, so that means food comes easily to them now. Safety and shelter comes easily to them now. Status is now allowing them to grab whatever they want. Human beings like it when shit is free. So now that they feel that they're entitled to a certain lifestyle, women, of course, And sex, since women have been seen as the key to sex, are now a commodity. And it's the culture that reinforces it. Not men, this evil force. It's the culture. Men are just adapting to it because men are humans and humans are adaptive creatures. Now it's the same thing with women. Women will adapt to it even if the culture seems to be against them. They will find a way to use it for their own advantage. Whether they're going to use their sexuality in order to get material things, or if they're going to basically, because they got that itch to be scratched, they go out to a bar. I've known plenty of women who they're like, shit, I'm going to get me some tonight. Fuck it. I need some shit. I need it tonight. Go out, dress up, go to a bar. Hey, it's, again, filling a need. And women will take advantage of that. They know that because of the way, subconsciously I'm going to say. It's not like a sinister plot. Go to a bar or go to an event or whatever where everybody's out there ready to party. They're looking for something too, but the women are like, hey, who's up to bat? Who is going to... But because of, again, the culture says that women are the gatekeepers to sex. They hold the keys. So that puts women in an advantage when it comes to the whole sex thing. And this is why the battle of sexes has been such a big deal throughout the centuries, because the culture has always dictated that women are supposed to be this chaste and whatever, and men are supposed to basically be worthy of the women, whether they realize it or not. That's what the culture is saying. We have to measure up to women. Therefore, you go into the bar and whatever, you got to hope that the woman picks you, and then you got to hope that you measure up to her standards, and then you can, have your night of, physical bliss. Women are just adapting to it. Again, it's not like they have this, they've set up this sinister plot, and then they're like, okay, now we're going to set it up this way to fuck the man over. Even the whole rape thing, which, of course, you happen to mention rape, and you'll have a lot of guys up in arms about how unfair it is that the minute a woman cries out rape, you're instantly guilty. You don't have a fucking chance in hell. You're instantly going to jail. Hold the phone. We got the statistics showing that this isn't always the case. And feminists also have gotten the statistics of showing that how, all you have to do is throw consent into question, and, is it in doubt whether she consented or not, and then, you can walk away from that. But that's not really what I'm talking about now. What I'm talking about is the fact that because the way the culture set things up to that women are supposed to be these frail, defenseless gatekeepers of sex, and men are these guys constantly after it, well, it sets up this atmosphere that's caused this problem where people are now thinking one side is thinking that the whole calling rape issue is getting out of control, and the other side is saying that it's not being enforced enough. It's because of the culture. You're fighting the culture. You're not fighting each other. It's the culture that's giving you the problem. And as human beings, you're simply adaptive creatures trying to work within the confines of the environment you're living in. This has nothing to do with a feminist agenda or an MRA agenda, male chauvinist agenda or female superiority agenda. And yes, I understand you got certain assholes out there. I understand that there's certain women who really do a good job of giving feminism a bad name. We understand that we got those insane assholes out there. Just like there's plenty of men out there who give males a bad name in terms of their behavior. But what's helping to reinforce this is the society that we lived in that has set this up. And ironically enough, well, not ironically, interestingly enough, it's religious-based. So we come right back to religion being one of the big problems. Because remember, their views on sex and on the position of women in society have not exactly helped. So what am I basically trying to say with all this? With this whole entitlement issue, or, our problems with trying to figure out what to do with our sexuality. The first thing human beings really need to do is to reclaim their sexuality and look at it for what it is rather than what the culture is stating that it is. Your sexuality is your own. The only gatekeepers to sex are yourselves. You dictate what you're going to be doing. I mean, yes, you have your desires. But it's not like, I understand in one point of view you can look at it and say that yes, women, it is up to women whether you're going to have sex or not. But quite frankly, it's also the other way around. It's just not exercised enough. There's going to be plenty of times when a woman wants to have sex and the dude's like, I'm not feeling it. Sorry. But because of the culture that we're living in, which is reinforcing the other way around, and it's setting up this notion that, it's the women who are the gatekeepers, that's taboo. That's unheard of. Something the fuck wrong with you? How could you not want this? And then, as divinity, as you said, some women get very uptight and angry about that. That sense of entitlement. They feel like, hey, you're supposed to want this. I'm the gatekeeper. What the fuck? It's the culture that's saying that. It's not necessarily the reality. And there are some men who understand that. That's why they can grab whatever women they want. That's another video for another time. The point is, we have to reclaim ourselves. Not just our sexuality, ourselves and our behavior, and admit that as adaptive creatures, whether you are a man or a woman, both of us will do certain things to get what we want, whether it happens to be considered morally ethical or not. Because we're adaptive creatures. Again, I keep saying this over and over again. If you are a human, you're fucked. I don't give a damn what's between your legs. You're going to do what it takes in order to suit your needs, your wants, your desires. We are adaptive creatures, and we're very good at adapting to the environment and the situation to get what we want. If there's a cheat code in the game, we're going to find it. If there's a loophole in the law, we're going to use it. If there's some way to squeeze through the fence, we will find a way to squeeze through that fence. If not, then we'll jump over the fence or dig under the fence or get around it to find a different area whatsoever that doesn't have a fence that has what we need. We will find a way. And that's what we're seeing. These gender wars, this, all this part of the fears that men are now having about, what's going to happen to us when women take over. All this is stemming from a culture that, quite frankly, we didn't really ask for to begin with. It was one that was imposed upon us and has been built over time with extra rules and extra rules trying to be civilized, but it all basically stems from a premise that, quite frankly, isn't really helping us to begin with. And we're going to have to address that culture as a species and really take it head on, and it's going to be causing a whole lot of headaches and making people very, very uncomfortable. But if we truly want a fair and equal society, we're going to have to do it. But before we can even do that, we have to reclaim ourselves. And that means not only reclaiming the good parts about ourselves, but the parts we're not exactly proud of as well, whether you're male or female. It's time to own up. That's all I'm adding to the table. Hope the video was useful. And if you got any thoughts again, Divinity or anybody else, let me know. Catch you guys later.